As somebody who is very, very into retro format, specifically hat format, I do have my toes dipped into Edison format a little bit today. I wanted to watch this video with you guys today. What makes a good retro format by MBT Yu-Gi-Oh? Today we are going to be reacting it to you. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Let's hear what he has to say. What exactly makes a good retro format? I like that intro. I've never watched this channel before. I've never watched, like, I add things to a playlist that I have where I want to react to soon, like, no matter what channel that I'm talking about, and this came across my feed.
Let's talk about Time Wizard. A few years back, scrawled on what appeared to be the back of a McDonald's receipt, Konami took a single action that would define years of how we play the game. In the wake of the pandemic, reigniting interest in Yu-Gi-Oh's historic formats, the history of Yu-Gi-Oh playtesting some of the all-time greatest in terms of retro.
Now, I actually didn't know that. Was 2020 the reason for all of these different formats coming out? Things like, I don't even know if it's like something like Duel Links, but like, I know GOAT format, Edison format really picked up a bunch of steam. I'm personally invested in hat format. Was it because people were like going down the nostalgia train? That's very interesting.
And an infrastructure of channels like E3 Yu-Gi-Oh pushing paper play for formats like Edison, they caved. Konami, in a shockingly lucid decision, sanctioned retro Yu-Gi-Oh by detailing the rules for Time Wizard format. Time Wizard was a mechanism by which any OTS could offer packs and prizing for paper play of long-forgotten formats, adopting the card pool, rulings, and social mores of yesteryear.
I have no idea what Time Wizard format is. I don't. And I was thinking like I would imagine that we're gonna be walking through different formats, but it's cool that like all of this is actually getting official.
This announcement occurred during one of Yu-Gi-Oh's most frustrating formats of all time, and I knew dozens of OTSs that immediately jumped at the chance to run concurrent events for GOAT, Reaper, Hat, Tengu, and Edison. In fact, mostly Edison. And after a few months, exclusively Edison.
Yeah, it seems like Edison, and I personally, I don't like have a ton of investment in different formats. I have my toes dipped in Edison. I'm very interested in hat format, but Edison seems to be the one that's gaining a lot of traction. Like, I have people in my personal life, and I know it's not exactly a good pool to pull from, excuse me, but nobody knows about the other formats, but people even know about Edison. Like, I've had people come up to me like, hey, do you remember like when we used to play cards together? Have you ever thought about Edison format? I'm like, dude, I have heard of that. That's sick.
To put into perspective just what a stranglehold Edison has on Time Wizard, this past weekend at the Ultimate Time Wizard 3v3, an event where people had brought GOAT and Tengu cards, a judge told me day one they fired dozens of pods of Edison, a few GOAT events, and had 2 total Tengu players hoping to launch a pod. The 25th anniversary giant Tengu card ended up being given to an Edison player. Now, let me get out in front of the hate. I think this is fine. I appreciate that there's a retro format so incredible. Well,
yeah, absolutely. This is like the best thing that they've done because, and I have all of the respect in the world for people who still love the modern game, but there are so many people, and it's so clear that people are and have been for a long time falling out of love with the modern game. So to have something official like Edison format is fantastic.
Well-defined and popular to sustain a consistent player base of people sick of advanced. But its popularity sets an extremely high bar for any other retro format to reach. RBETs, dozens of content creators, and an ever-evolving format are just some of the hallmarks of this format that regrettably aren't present anywhere else. Today, we'll discuss why. I want to ask, what makes a good Time Wizard format? Why?
Now, the weird thing that I'm stuck on here is, what is a Time Wizard format? I was thinking that Time Wizard was specifically a format, or is he just talking about, like, what the title means? Like, a retro format. Is Time Wizard talking about, like, going back in time? Hopefully that question gets answered to me, otherwise I'm just going to look really stupid.
Why haven't others caught on the way that Edison has? And what theoretically could emerge as the next great format?
It has to be hat. It has to be. Like, that is the most... It has the most variety. You can do what you want, and it's like the ultimate strategic game. It has to be hat format.
So let's begin with the first necessary hurdle for any retro format to clear. It's gotta be different from the other retro formats. Let's have a quick look at 3 incredibly popular formats. GOAT format is a game focused around small incremental advantages. There are huge blowouts, the Trinity of course, but largely you're playing a game of inches, not miles.
I personally don't like GOAT format. I think, and when I say this, it's very, very important. I do not mean it disrespectfully because I know there's a ton of people and I see why people love it. It's just not for me personally. I don't like the game being that simple. I like something like hat format.
in which you attempt to eke out extra value from cards until you are in enough of an advantaged state to go for a huge chaos push. Edison format is a game focused around small synergies between cards, isolating ways in which format all-stars like Raiko, Deck Dev, and the like play well with each other. Each of the top decks right now, Forgs, Vayu, Gigavise, Frognark, and their friends, are mostly vague assemblages of extremely powerful cards that play very well with...
Actually, that's a very good way to describe it. Here, I'll let him finish his point.
...other extremely powerful cards.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really good way to describe it. For me, I do like Edison, but there are so many fantastic deck builds and strategies that have come beyond Edison that it pulls me away from it a little bit. I don't want to say the game is too simplistic in Edison, but like there are so many great synchro cards that came out. There are so many, I'm a big fan of XYZ cards. There was a lot of things that have come past Edison format that I thought was very healthy and very fun to play.
Games last a long time, many turns, but have the capacity to be swingy, explosive, and interactive. And Tengu does all that shit again. I don't want to come down too hard on Tengu. I know there's huge differences gameplay-wise from Edison. Effect Veiler, hand traps, and Xyz are a big leap, but the top decks are still an assemblage of format all-stars that have small synergies with each other. Games are still swingy and still last many turns.
Yeah, and I would need to look a little bit more into like the specifics of Tengu format, but I also like the Tengu era as well. Just let's get a little bit past that as well.
For people who are looking for a shakeup of Edison formats, Tengu is a great palette cleanser, but for people who are looking for a radically transformed gameplay loop, you kinda have to look elsewhere. This is a huge problem for a lot of wannabe Time Wizard formats. Meadowlands has a plethora of decks that make NXZs and set 4 just like Tengu. Reaper is basically GOAT with an automatic kill button, courtesy of Last Will, Cyberstein, and Cyberdragon Duo. Gotta offer a meaningful deviation from a play perspective than any other retro format to be.
Yeah, and I think they covered it all. Like, I can't even begin to think, and I don't know if the video is going to answer the question, but I can't even begin to think, like, what else they could do for retro formats that would be enough where, like, okay, let's separate this, and it's going to be a really, really fun game to play. Even Tengu, I almost find a little bit unnecessary. I think it's like GOAT, Edison, Hat. I feel like you could really stop there. I don't know if there's anywhere else you could really pull from.
Be successful. Otherwise, you're just shaking up the top decks to play a less explored version of a different retro format. Secondly, a new format has to be meaningfully different than current. At the most recent NAWCQ, Konami ran a survey asking players their opinion on several Time Wizard events, likely in preparation.
Okay. Now I understand. I'm a big idiot. I was thinking that Time Wizard format was something along the lines of GOAT format, but no, we're just talking about playing retro styles of the game. Okay, I'm sorry, everybody.
For next year's Ultimate Time Wizard 3v3. In it, they asked about GOAT, Edison, and TOS format.
What the hell is TOS format? I've never heard of TOS format. Yeah, I just found out about Hat format not too long ago, guys. I'm still learning about the retro formats as well. I play Edison, and I like Hat, okay? Maybe he'll explain it, hopefully.
This was exciting to some people. Tengu was clearly the black sheep among Ultimate Time Wizard formats, but personally, I wasn't thrilled to lose it to TOS. Why? Because it's basically just current. The top decks in TOS format are Thunder Dragon, Orchist, Sky Striker, and Salamangreat.
Okay, I see. So that's why. It's past my time. It's past my time. For anybody watching this video who may be new to the channel, I lost interest in the game. When Pendulums got released, I stuck around for a little bit longer, and then I kind of got sick of it. Links were the ultimate killer for me. Like, I played ultra casually, and by that I mean like still competitive, but I didn't play as often. So I don't want to say like casual, but like a casual competitive, I would say. You know what I mean? Links, once they came out, I thought that just destroyed the game for me personally. I didn't like it, but for everybody who does like Links in the modern game, absolutely no disrespect.
These are fun decks that have a lot of interplay between each other, but they're also still around. Sky Striker and Salamangreat have tops from 2024. Thunder Dragon Colossus featured heavily in Ritual Beast Brews, but its final form in Crusadia Thunder Dragon is indistinguishable from any other Link Slop combo deck from the past 5 years. Orchist is a top deck in the OCG. If I wanted to play the kind of gameplay a Salamangreat deck from 2019 makes possible,
I feel like that would be a little bit closer to the modern game, would it not? But again, I'm not one to speak about the modern game because that's the only thing that I haven't really kept up on.
First turn attempting to play around as many hand traps as possible, a second turn when an opponent attempts to crack the board, and a third turn OTK if they were unsuccessful. I'd just play current. There's a number of incredible formats from recent years, Tier 0, Agov, Rate, that I think just aren't meaningfully differentiated from this style of play.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling the same way. I'm feeling the same way because like my initial thought to that was like, wouldn't it be a little bit closer to the modern game? You can't separate the formats that much. I just wish we could add a hat format over to like the Edison and the GOAT where people really, really like to play it.
Take a transformation from the perspective of current before these get a day in the sun. Third, a format has to be a specific time, not a vibe.
Hang on, do people do that? Oh, okay, sorry.
In a time wizard format, you should immediately be able to determine when the format took place. Toss, for instance, refers not to a format, but to a series of decks that were popular on and off over an 18-month period in varying states of legality. When it came time to nail down a specific period for the format, Konami had a lot of trouble permitting the powerful Orchest cards that were so integral to the format, but excluding generic Dark Links like Masquerena that made it unbeatable.
Really? I thought that, like, I mean, again, when we're talking about, like, Link cards in the Link era, that's not my forte, but wouldn't it be easiest to just put it at, like, the furthest down in the most recent that you possibly could without crossing the border into modern Yu-Gi-Oh? Wouldn't that be the way to do it?
Hat suffers from this problem more than any other format.
Oh.
Hat actually refers to 3 discrete formats. Early Hat, lasting from Primal Origin release to Structure Deck Realm of Light. High Hat, which includes Super Starter and Master Rule 3. And the format after the July 2014 ban list, but before the release of Duelist Alliance. These formats are drastically different, and my deck is Hat legal doesn't exactly clarify which of them you're playing. Finally,
that's news to me. Again, I'm just getting interested in all of this stuff. I didn't know whether there were 3 different versions of hat format. Nah, I'm going with the one right before Pendulums, man. That sounds like the proper format for a brand new format.
a format has to offer a diverse array of playstyles and decks.
That's hat!
This feels like it should go without saying, but I think it's important that people with different tastes can enjoy playing a format. As much as I like Tier 0, as much as I appreciate Dragon Ruler, I can't deny that they're basically just one deck. One playstyle repeated ad infinitum. Sure, you can wax poetic about Spellbook or Fluandereeze, but be reasonable. Ideally, if there is a best deck, it shouldn't be so much of a best deck that it doesn't come with a big target on your head.
I think that hat format does it the best, man. I think it does. There is no other format where you can have like so many different deck types, adding in a random cards, whether they're old, whether they're new, mix and matching different strategies, and all of a sudden, boom, here we are. Literally, the hat deck was like that. It was literally someone, hey, I think this combo works together. And the variety of decks, you cannot find another format where you can play that.
Hopefully, such a format would include a control deck, a combo deck, options to go big, go wide, stun, etc. So, where does that leave us? Well, the short of it is, there's almost nothing that fits the bill. In my opinion, Yu-Gi-Oh! Radically transformed 3 times. Firstly, in 2008, when it shed its MTG baggage and embraced synchros and big combos.
Yep, and I liked that a lot. I thought that was an excellent addition to the game.
Secondly, in Duelist Alliance, when every deck began with a combo setup and could threaten an OTK every turn. And thirdly, in 2019, when decks pivoted from 14 negate setups to layered, diverse points of interaction.
Yeah, and that's where they lost me, man. Get me away from, as close to modern era as we can get.
Pre-2008 formats, little can compete with GOAT, either in gameplay differentiation or in fame. Pre-2015 feels like an incredibly uphill battle to outdraw Edison, and post-2019, you've got to compete with current. They're all—
Give me my 2014. Where's my 2014? That's my golden era. That's my golden era.
Are a few possible options. Duelist Alliance release is historically underexplored, as people at the time gravitated to extremely loose BA decks playing Supply Squad and Satellar Knight Set 4 strategies. Inov was remembered fondly by the player base, but I think that's just because the formats afterwards suck.
The, what was it, Duelist Alliance, the first one that you just talked about? Excuse me, sorry about that, guys.
Was remembered loose BA.
Yeah, Duelist Alliance. That would be an interesting one to explore, but I still really, really, really didn't like the direction the game was heading. It went from such a drastic, I love this so much, this is the perfect game, to, ooh, they might be going too far, and then they went too far.
Decks playing Supply Squad
so we'll fast forward
formats afterwards fucking sucked. My pet format is 2016 NAWCQ. It's got a number of powerful decks with different game plans. The 4 pillars of the format were Monarch, which had a bricky version in Domain whose payoff was an extra deck lock, and a more consistent build that played extra deck cards and Brilliant Fusion. Cosmo, which had the ability to OTK anything using Farm Girl, but a build playing Card of Demise and resolving its effect followed by the effect of Tin Cannon Sequence had started to emerge at the WCQ.
Now, this was the era that I'm familiar with, but this is where I started to play less and less and less and less. So this is a little too far for my personal liking.
Burning Abyss, which frequently played Phantom Knights as powerful rank 3 extenders, but occasionally splashed a Kaiju package to out the domain lock, and Pendulum, which was a combination of all the remaining pieces of the previously unmatched Pepe strategy. Around the margins of the format were Clefort, which used the Master 3 board to hold extra cards.
I hated the Cliport cards. I hated them. I hated going up against it, and I hated the pendulums. I was like, I don't know if anybody else felt the same way about pendulums. I know a lot of people really had links as the big deal breaker for them, but pendulums were it for me, man. I was like, I don't know how long I can tolerate this for.
After a card of demise, Super Quantums, a combo deck that makes Magnus, and BA Monarch, a huge deck that aimed to combo, and keep comboing. Time Wizard is an incredible opportunity to look back on decades of history and experience only the hits.
Yeah, and it's true. And I would imagine as the years go by, they'll figure out like the best formats of all time. Like what needs to happen, and I don't know if anything is being brought up or if anything like exists like this, but what needs to happen is there needs to be like some grand like actual game online with all of these formats that gets like all of the attention. Not everybody, like some people playing on this, you know, player online, some people playing on Dueling Nexus, some people playing there. Like you need to pool everybody together under one, then you would have enough people with whatever format that you want to play.
There's got to be a reason, a hook to play a format. If you're looking for the next great Time Wizard, keep these in mind. You don't want to find yourself competing with Edison, or God forbid, Current.
That was an interesting video. I really like that. I think he's totally right in saying that, you know, breaking down the reasons of what exactly makes a good format. I really do believe that you could add Hat, and I know, like, I just talked about how much I like Hat, and I might sound biased, but I like it for a reason. I like the variety. I already went through it. I like the fact that you can build all of these different decks. You never know what you're going up against. I thought it was a very balanced and very fun time to play the game. It was the perfect, hard, competitive game. GOAT format, Edison format, and even if you want to add, like, a Duelist Alliance or a little bit past that as its own format, I'd be open to that, but I personally wouldn't play that. I think Hat would fit perfectly, and I'd love to know what you guys think about it down below. If you're interested in me talking about my experience with finding out about Hat format, then check out this video right here. I'd love to have you over there. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care.